Hello and welcome, Mark here, and in today's episode we're going to look at the Alpine stitch. Now this Alpine stitch we're going to be using 3 different stitches: the DCs, the trebles and the double trebles. You need a foundation chain of a multiple of 2 plus 1, and it's worked over a 4-row repeat. Unfortunately it's not double-sided, even though the back of the stitch is quite interesting really. Now it's not a fast stitch to work up, so if you're going to use this stitch for something, I would consider what you want to make with it. I would go with probably something smaller like cushion covers. If you decide to use a blanket, use the stitch for a blanket should I say, you will need quite a bit of yarn because it is a bit of a yarn eater. Right, I think that's everything, and the abbreviation for the raised stitch is actually double treble / RF, which means raised front. I prefer to say the other way really, a raised front double treble. It sounds better that way, but they're always written out as double treble raised front. I think that's it, that's all I want to say. So we're going to be using DK weight yarn. I'm going to be using this merino yarn in lavender and a 4.0mm crochet hook. Don't know if you can see that, I'm not sure if you can see that. And of course, with working the stitches in an offset position, you get this like diagonal look of it. Right, so well, all that's said and done, let's get crafting, shall we? Right, so to begin we need to make a foundation chain. So just make a slip knot, and then the foundation chain is, as I said before, a multiple of 2 plus 1. So you go 2, 2, 2 until you get it to the size you want, and then you just add 1 at the end. So just pause the video while I finish making the foundation chain. So there's my foundation chain done, and I've made a foundation chain of 23 chains. That's my multiples of 2 plus 1. We start with a foundation row of working trebles all the way across the stitch. So first of all we need to make a treble into the 4th chain from the hook. So go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to turn over to work in the back bumps when I can get into it. And that's a treble. So you just yarn over into the chain. Oops, I'm taking both of them there. And make a treble in the normal way. So we just work trebles along this row, and this is of course the foundation row. So if you like, you can just pause the video while I work to the end of this chain. Alright, so we're just coming up to the end of this row and just making that last treble into that last chain, and there we go. That is your foundation row done. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 21. There we go. That is to give us an odd number. Now this is a 4-row repeat. I think I mentioned that earlier. So now we do row 1. So we turn, we chain 1, and into the top of every stitch we work a DC. Double crochet, and you just work that across the row. This is an easy row. just working DCs across the top of that foundation row. So pause the video and we'll meet you up ready before we do row 2. Right, so we're just finishing up row 1, and don't forget to put a DC into the top of that turning chain. And there you go, that is the end of row 1. So we turn and we chain 2 for the beginning of row 2, but I'm doing stacking DCs, so just do those stacking CDs there, DCs should say, CDs. Oh dear, what am I doing today? Now, to work this stitch, that counts as your first stitch, so that's above there. The next stitch is going to be a raised stitch, and it's the double treble raised front. So, and we're going to be working it round the stem of that stitch from 2 rows below, really. So we wrap the yarn and we go round from front to back, then back to front, wrap the yarn, put it through and work a double treble. And that double treble counts as that stitch taken, so we miss that one and go into the next one and we work a treble. And that's your pattern sequence for this row. So you miss that one, go into the next one and make a double treble raised front. Miss that stitch, go into the next one and work a normal treble, and that's the row repeat. So we just work those to the end of the row. So miss that treble, go around that next one and work your raised front double treble. Miss that stitch, remember, go into the next one. Always miss the stitch right next to it because it's already spoken for because of the raised double trebles in front of it. So I'll miss that one. So we'll just pause the video while I work that to the end of the row, and we'll meet up with you ready for row 3. Alright, we're just coming up to the end of row 2 and I have 2 stitches left, and we make a raised front double treble, and then we work a treble into that last stitch. It is there, it's just hiding a little bit. Oh, sorry, did you see it now? It is hiding, it is there, look. Don't know if I went off the camera a little bit there. And there we are. And that is the end of row 2. And look how it's looking. The back is quite plain for this. You can see it a bit more better when there's a few more rows done. So we now do row 3, which is a repeat of row 1. So we just turn, chain 1 and work a DC, go back out way, a DC in every stitch across. There you go, this is your easy peasy row, easy weasy lemon squeezy. So we just work those across the row. So we'll pause the video and meet back up with you ready to do row 4. I almost finished row 3, but just a reminder, don't forget to work a DC into that stitch. Usually can be a bit awkward to work into, but it is there, look, it's there, you can see the V. You just want to try and get underneath both of those legs and work a DC in there. So now we go on to row 4. And row 4 is similar to row 3, but it's just done in a different sequence. Instead of the raised front double treble first, we're going to be working a treble, then a raised front double treble. So I'll just show you. So chain 2 for your turning chain, or stacking doubles, they'll do. Now see, we've got a raised stitch here. We don't want another raised stitch above that one. We just want a treble there. The next stitch is a raised double treble, and it's that one there just hiding in the middle of the other two. And then a normal treble in that one. So the sequence has changed slightly this time. Just do a few more. So that counts for that one. So a double treble round that one. Round the next stitch. Don't forget to miss that DC right behind that raised double treble. Otherwise your sequence will be off. So that's the start of the repeat for this row. And that's the end of the repeat for this row. So you're working them slightly different. Now I've made a few more. You can see now that they're offsetting each other. And that's how we work the sequence. So we'll just carry on working trebles. And then double treble round the front of that stitch. Remember, on this one now, we need to do a raised double treble, and then above the raised double treble from before, you do a normal treble. Oops, nearly did it around that one then. So I'll pause the video, I'll finish off this row, and we'll just recap over the 4 rows. And I forgot to mention, I'm back again, I forgot to mention how we finish off row 4. You will end up with 2 stitches, and both of those stitches, just like the beginning of the row, you will end with 2 trebles at that end and 2 trebles at this end, and that's how you get in the Alpine stitch. Isn't that lovely? And as you can see, a bit more is done now for the back. Quite a unique little stitch at the back as well, isn't it? So we'll just recap. So row 1 and 3 are just DCs, and then row 2 and 4 are the rows where we work the raised stitches, the front raised double trebles. So as a recap, I'll just do a row 1, which is again DCs into every stitch. Oops. DCs into every stitch. So I shall meet you up again. So I'll pause the video and I'll be right back with you for row 2. Alright, so there you go, that's the end of row 1. So we turn and we do our turning chain however way we wish, chain 2 or stacking doubles. And now we're going to repeat row 2 again now, where we do the raised front double treble around that next stitch, because that is already spoken for. So remember, a double treble is wrapping the yarn twice before you make that stitch. Miss that stitch behind it, go to the next one and work a treble. And that's the pattern sequence. So wrap the yarn twice, go down to this stitch just hiding in between the two raised ones, lift that up, wrap the yarn and work a raised front double treble. Miss the stitch, make sure you go into the right one to work your treble, and that is your pattern sequence for row 2. So a raised front double treble into the next stitch and into the stitch after that a treble. So just pause the video and I'll be right back with you to just recap on what row 3 is, and then we'll have a look at row 4. Just a reminder how we finish row 2 off. Remember, you work till you have 2 stitches left, and it's just repeating the pattern throughout. And we just work that raised double treble and then work a treble into that last stitch, and there you go. That is the end of row 2. Row 3, just to recap, chain 1 and you just work DCs into every stitch. See what I mean by it's not a fast stitch to work? So if you're going to use this stitch, please think of what you're going to use it for. So I shall just finish this off camera and then a recap of row 4. Right, there we go. We're ready to start row 4. Just finished that row 3 off of a row of DCs. So we'll do our turning stitch, and because that is already a raised stitch, we don't want a raised stitch above it. So the pattern sequence now for this row is a treble and then a raised front double treble. And a raised front double treble. The next stitch is just a treble. Sorry, the next stitch is just a treble. And then the stitch after that is hiding in there. You'll have to pull this one up. And there you go. And that's how you get these diagonal effect, by making the sequence of doing them, well, offset really. Putting it manually, just putting it as it is, you just offset the stitches to get the effect. And also remember, on row 4 you have your turning chain and a treble on that end, and on this end you will have the last 2 stitches are 2 double trebles. So I'll just remind you of that when we get up to there. So I'll pause the video, continue doing that sequence, and I'll meet you at near the end of the row. And just as we get to the end of row 4, we have 2 stitches left. We've just worked the last double treble at the front there, and we work just 2 trebles into those last 2 stitches, And there we are. And that is how I do the Alpine stitch. And that's what it looks like on the back. And it does make quite a thick fabric because of those raised stitches. So I hope you enjoyed this stitch. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And until next time here on Mark to Make Stitches, bye.